Y'all, welcome back. This is week 3 of Keep It One, Hunnid, the series. The first week we talked about what it means to not be fake. The second week we talked about the vacuums in your life, not being afraid of opportunities, to step out on them. And this week, week 3, we're gonna talk about who's a true champion. So what makes somebody a champion? Think about it. What makes somebody a champion? Is it somebody who rides the coattails of everybody else, or a person who takes charge? So from 84 to the 90s, the Michael Jordan-led Bulls team took the lead by storm, right? This team had rebuilding years, but the cornerstone piece, the true champion, was established not in 84, but when MJ was in high school. Not making the varsity team his sophomore year did something to him. You know, it gave him that drive, that momentum to prove everybody wrong. Some may back away from the challenge, but MJ did not. He took it personal. And like we all know, when he does that, he is going to win or die trying. And if you are in his way, he might jump over you, dunk on you. And if you are in his team, he might be yelling at you, right? So, in your life, are you taking it personal? When your boss gives you an assignment, are you taking it personal in delivering? Are you willing to take that last shot and do the fist pump in the air? Being a true champion is not always popular. I'm sorry to say that. To the youth, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not always popular. Doing the right thing is not. It will cause you to lose friends. Loved ones, people that you think are on your side, in your corner. They're gonna be like, They're gonna push you away when you speak the truth, when you are acting in the way that you should be acting, when you are actually pushing yourself higher. Like I said last week about the vacuums in our life, like our friends pushing us higher. Like if you're that friend to somebody and you're like, man, you gotta get to this level. I'm gonna get there. I'm trying to help you out. When you are doing that, you're gonna lose friends, loved ones, opportunities. Like even the Bulls, the teammates said that Mike was hard on them. But guess what? They were champions. Like imagine that. You could say, man, Mike, hey, not everybody loved him. I'll probably be the same way. But guess what? I'll be a champion if I was on this team. Right? He took charge. So in the Bible, we find this intriguing story of a champion and somebody who was not a champion. It may seem small to some, but it's actually pretty impressive. And the other part that we're going to talk about later is pretty much a suicide mission. And we'll talk about that when we get there. So in this passage I'm about to read, we're going to find out what happens when Saul oversteps his boundary, King Saul. And then after that, we're going to learn about Jonathan, King Saul's son, Jonathan, and his armor bearer, and what they did by going off to fight enemies by themselves. So you guys can read along if you want to. The passage I'm reading from is 1 Samuel 13, 8 to 10. So if you guys want to, in this NIV, New International Version. So the passage says that, I'm reading off my screen, I have my notes. It says that the soldiers that were with him, with Saul, were quaking with fear. He waited 7 days, the time set by Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and Saul's men began to scatter. So he said, bring me the burnt offering and the fellowship offerings. And Saul offered up the burnt offerings. Just as he finished making the offering, Samuel arrived, and Saul went out to greet him. Patience is a virtue. It sounds cliche, but it is very important to understand. If you get instructions from the coach how to win the game, you do not step out of your way to play hero ball. Saul was more concerned with his image than he was with following the roadmap Samuel had given to him. All he had to do was wait. And Saul was probably like, man, I'm the king. Samuel's not the king. He's the prophet, but I'm the king. I can do this and this and this. But he overstepped his boundaries. He was not listening to God, right? And if you guys know anything about offerings in the Old Testament, it's either a priest or somebody that God deemed can do it, like Moses or actually Aaron. Aaron was doing it in his lineage after that. But if God wanted Moses to do it, he will be able to do it, right? And Saul was not in that realm. He was not a priest. This boy was a country boy. He looked the part, but hey, he wasn't it, right? Even if you dress the part as a king or a queen, doesn't mean that you're actually fit for the role. And Saul overstepped his boundaries, and he did it himself. It's pretty much like that video, I don't know if you guys saw it, of Cam Newton at his camp, of the kid disrespecting him, heckling him, right? And saying, like, man, you a free agent, and you this and this and this. Like, for the youth out there, I'm going to pause real fast because it's important to know that when somebody steps out of their way to help you out, like Samuel helping Saul, you don't disrespect them. You greet them with respect, And if they say, wait, man, like, this is going to come to you years later. I'm trying to teach you football. I'm trying to teach you life. You don't disrespect them. And Cam, his response was great. And how he was like, hey, I'm trying to teach you this and this. Like, Richard Ness game. He wasn't trying to show him up. He was like, man, like, I'm at the area that you want to be in life for football, right? And there might be more than that. But even if, like, the kid's trying to be cool, like, man, like, I'm a teacher. I work in the schools, like I said in the other videos, or just at church. And sometimes at some places, like, the kids are like, man, they'll be joking around and all of this, right? But, like, sometimes you guys can overstep your boundaries. I can too, but you have to realize that these people are taking time off. Right, like for me, for my pastor, when I was doing my internship, even now, he's always teaching me something new. Different youth pastors in my life as well. And if, like, say, like Mike Todd or somebody pulled me aside and they were trying to mentor me, like, I'm not gonna hackle them. And it's important to stay patient and not be too fast to move to an area that you're not fit to move to. So this is what Samuel said in response. This is what he asked Saul. What have you done? So what have you done with your life? I'm talking to you guys. Are you wasting your time away, hoping that dreams will fall out of the sky, or are you going after them? That's why I believe Saul was weak and was a terrible king. Like, God didn't even want him as a king. But since the people were asking all this, God was like, all right, give them what they want. Give them what they want. This is what they want. Like, let them see how this will go. And as you read the rest of the story of Saul, it's like downfall after downfall after downfall. Nobody was praying on his downfall. He did that to himself. And there's a lot, you can go into a lot about that. But the people wanted a king. He looked the part, like I said, but his resume did not match up. Are you preparing yourself for champion roles, or are you just looking the part? And think that if you wing it, all will fall into place. Like, even if you walk into that job interview and you act like, oh man, I know all of this stuff, and they ask you that one question and you're not prepared for it. You got to prepare for the season that you want to be in while you're in the season where you are right now. Like, so wherever you're appointed, learn. I have a book called Second Cheerleader. That means that the first cheerleader may be your boss, maybe a president in your class, or maybe the leader of the team. And you're learning in that second chair. You're not overstepping the first chair. You're learning from them and you're growing. And Saul replied, when I saw that the men were scattering, he was like, when I saw they were scattering, and that you did not come at the set time. God, we were like, man, God, when are y'all come? You had to come right now when I want you to. And it's like, man, since you didn't come, I did it myself. And when we do that, it can take days, it can take years, it can take months for us to get back to where God already had us, right? And we were like, man, it took so long, for me to realize this. And we have all these resolutions, and we're like, man, we ain't to never do that again. Then we're back in that same spot like Saul, And we're like, man, when you didn't come, I was like, I'm going to act by myself. Even though I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it in play, right? Put me in, coach, even though I know I cannot make the shot. Like, what? What? That don't make no sense. Let me read this again. When I saw that the men were scattering, and that you did not come at the set time, and that the Philistines were assembling at Michmash, I thought, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal, and how I have not sought the Lord's favor. So, here he said he did not seek the Lord's favor. That means he did not ask God. He got caught up in his lie. He did not ask God. He did not seek his favor. So I felt compelled. Like for me, I feel compelled, God, you didn't give me this job, so I'm going to feel compelled to apply for this one. I'm going to feel compelled to go to these different, sources of income because somebody told me to, hey, put yourself into stocks, apply for this job. Indeed, it's very fast, you can get paid all this and this and this. It's like, oh, that's cool and all, but is that my calling? Is that what I'm supposed to do? So I felt compelled to offer the burnt offering. And again, that is 1 Samuel 13, 11 to 12. So because of his decisions, Samuel informed him that his kingdom would not endure. Saul did not have a heart after God. He was into the people pleasing business. Are you pleasing people? Or are you living for God? When you get love for God, you are internally pleasing yourself. You're not concerned with what other people are doing. You're concerned with what God has for you to do. And when that happens, when you're doing what you're supposed to do, yes, you'll be concerned for people, but you won't be concerned about their opinions, based on what you are doing in your life. So now let's talk about Jonathan and his armor bearer. Since a blacksmith was not found, and the price to have the Philistines sharpen their weapons was high. I don't even know why they was going to the Philistines. This is crazy for me. But on the day of the battle, only Saul and Jonathan had a sword or spear with them. This seems like a quick battle, right? But Jonathan had a thought one day, a crazy one that it would have been a quick battle for the Philistines. They could have just whoop whoop came through. But Jonathan had a thought. This is where I was talking about the suicide mission, right? So 1 Samuel 14:1 says that one day Jonathan, son of Saul, said to his young armor bearer, "Come, let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." But you know what happened? He did not tell his father. That's crazy. That my camera's messing up. But, like I said, one day Jonathan, son of Saul, said to his young armor bearer, "Come, let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." But he did not tell his father. That's from 1 Samuel 14:1. This may seem disrespectful, but remember this. Saul dishonored God by not being patient in waiting. He said he felt compelled. Also, he is a king, so Well, what king doesn't have weapons for his army, especially when they're about to battle? So Jonathan is already being a champion. He's like, we have a battle and we are sitting. In your life, you have a choice. You can either sit during the battle, acting helpless, or you can go and step out and take risks. So as I read 1 Samuel 14, verse 4 to 15, listen and follow along. Again, that's 1 Samuel 14, chapter 14, verse 4 to 15. So it says, on each side of the pass that Jonathan intended to cross to reach the Philistine outpost was a cliff, one called Bazaz and the other Sinai. One cliff stood to the north, toward Michmash, the other to the south toward Geba. Jonathan said to his young armor bearer, come, let's go over to the outposts of those uncircumcised men. Perhaps the Lord will act in our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. Do all that you have in mind, his armor bearer said. Go ahead, I am with you, heart and soul. See, the armor bearer was also a champion. This man, an armor bearer is carrying the weapons for the person they're serving, right? They're the servant. So he's risking his life by doing this. Jonathan said, come on, then we'll cross toward them and let them see us. If they say to us, wait there until we come to you, we will wait. We'll stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, come up to us, we'll climb up, because that will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands. So both of them showed themselves to the Philistine outpost. Look, said the Philistines, the Hebrews are crawling out of the holes they were hiding in. The men of the outpost shouted to Jonathan and his armor bearer, come up to us and we'll teach you a lesson. So Jonathan said to his armor bearer, climb up after me. The Lord has given them into the hand of Israel. Jonathan climbed up, using his hands and feet, with his armor bearer right behind him. The Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer followed and killed behind him. In the first attack, Jonathan and his armor bearer killed some 20 men in an area of about half an acre. 2 men, right? Being champions. And I love this passage because it talks about climbing up. Sometimes we are low in the valley, right? And we think that we are hiding, that we cannot, that we cannot go to higher grounds. But God allowed them to climb up. And sometimes we have to do that. We have to climb up so we can we can have a better view of what our future is. So from this passage, we learned that a champion must do the unpopular. So one, do the unpopular thing. People might not like you in the storm, but they will respect you. When they see all that you go through, right, to help them get out of the storm, do you seek out praise? Is this a popularity contest? Who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself, for your own praise, or are you doing it for others? Number 2, you must take it personal. If you do not wear your why on your sleeve, nobody will respect you, nor will they want to follow your lead. If they don't understand why you are standing up for what you believe in, why you are speaking up for what you believe in, they will not follow you. You have to believe in whatever your life doctrine is. Your playbook is your roadmap. Now go and teach those alongside you how to play the rules, how to run the plays. And number 3, the last point is you must be patient. Saul acted off of impulse and lost out on something grand. That job you might want to leave may be the exact spot God has anointed you in, has appointed you for. Do not leave before you learn and grow. Remember the second cheerleader and the first cheerleader. Do not try to go to that first cheerleader status if you're not ready to grow, if you're not ready to go there. You're not ready for the burdens. will be on you by going there. And also, you got to prepare for the grand opening before you get to the ribbon cutting. You got to prepare for it before you are ready to lead people, right? So, hey, thank you guys for listening. And as well as listen to week 1, week 2, then week 3, week 4 is coming out soon. So, I hope you guys are there. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe in the middle. Then last week, we talked about vacuums, not letting things keep us out of what we are called to do, right? Not allowing fear to keep us back, so to speak. And this week, we talked about who is a true champion. And next week, remember, click on the video for next week about how to run. And what I mean by that is running to where God has, to what God has for you in your life. And that's going to wrap up the series because we talked about number 1. The first week was don't be fake. Second week was dogs being afraid of vacuums. Then this week was who's a true champion. And then week number 4 is run. Run your life. Huh? All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. I'll see you on Monday. On Monday for another poll. All right? Peace out.